Welcome everyone to IsisParenting's Sleep Support webinar and chat. My name is Nancy Holtzman. I'm a mom and baby nurse educator, board certified lactation consultant, board certified in pediatrics, and usually I'm sitting in the back office at ISIS Parenting in Needham, Massachusetts. Today I happen to be in the green room at Fox 25 News, but we are here for today's Tuesday Sleep Support webinar, and today's topic is going to be room sharing and bedtime routines when there's more than one child. So whether your children are sharing a room or you're just trying to juggle bedtime when you're solo and have an infant and a toddler, or two children of different ages, or twins, a lot of the different considerations and logistics that you'll need to take into account. And we had a lot of questions about when babies or toddlers are sharing rooms, what happens when one is an early morning waker, which we know is a common issue that a lot of parents deal with. So we're going to address that as well. With me today, as she is every Tuesday, is my friend and colleague, Meg Casano. And Meg, I will let you introduce yourself and your children and your role here at ISIS
Okay,
Parenting.
thanks, Nancy. Thanks for joining me, everyone. This is Meg. I co-lead the ISIS sleep team and am a senior sleep consultant. My background is as a registered nurse. And as you know, this topic is near and dear to my heart because I have four of my own little ones. My oldest is almost 6.5. The baby is 10.5 months. And I am on my own for a bedtime routine almost every night. So I know I know how challenging it can be sometimes. So hopefully you will all pick up some tips on how you can make it go a little more smoothly. I have to give a little shout out. This might be one of my good friends, Amelia, who's listening in today. If it's you, Amelia, thanks for joining. Not sure, maybe it's a different Amelia. Um, all right, so for a little overview, I love room sharing for babies, toddlers, older children. I think it's just a really great, can be a really great bonding time, sharing time, especially kids as children get older and they're verbal and talking. I think it's really wonderful. But I do also tell parents, and those of you moms with twins know, it may very well bring unique challenges as you go through different developmental phases and you have sort of double or triple things going on in your rooms. And so planning is absolutely essential. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Planning and regularity of sleep times. And I'm not going to go through quite as much of the background information in this webinar as we have in others, but Nancy, I don't know, maybe you have quick links handy for those of you who are new to listening. It's always important that your children have really great, ideal sleep environments, especially when they're sharing rooms, which means cool rooms, dark rooms, quiet rooms, regular bedtiming. And these are webinars we have recorded that you can go back and check out if you haven't done that, because I really want to try to focus a lot of the time more on this specific topic. Okay, so look at this gorgeous nursery. So if you are thinking about having your children share a room, or if your children are already sharing a room, some things to you think about is safety. If you have one child who's up and mobile and can be potentially climbing into a baby's crib or putting toys into a baby's crib, it's really something you need to evaluate in terms of what does your toddler have access to that could be unsafe for your baby. What is your toddler likely to get into? Video monitors are really great this day and age. It may be really helpful to have one of those going in a room to have eyes on, or be able to have door open. But just, always safety is always important when you're thinking about having two in a room. You also want to think about your intervention abilities, like your teaching. If you're having trouble and you're going to be working with one child or both children, you want to do, what we say kind of man-to-man or zone defense with your teaching strategy. Will it be one parent working with both children, or will you sort of be one-on-one? One parent will be working with one child and one parent will be working with another child. Either way can work. It's fine, whatever works for your family. You just want to have a plan going into your night, how it's going to be best for you. White noise machines, that's the constant background noise that just, nothing that's changing. You don't want music that's ebbing and flowing in sound. You don't want waves crashing. You just want a continuous background noise running in your child's room, and that would stay on for the duration of the night or the duration of the nap. That's really going to be almost essential. White noise is not sleep inducing, so it doesn't make your child become a better sleeper. It's sleep protecting. So during the sleep states when your child's threshold for arousal drops way down, so little noises, bumps and squeaks by the baby, a cry out by the baby, or the toddler, thump in the wall would wake the baby. The white noise machine can help mask some of those noises. So very definitely white noise machine. We generally recommend putting it between the most noisy area and the child. In room sharing, you may actually want the sound machine between the two children. And yes, Nancy, oh, little pointer, thank you. Our favorite is the Dome Sleep Mate made by Marpac. It's professional grade white noise machine. Okay, is Kara on? Oh, Kara's on today. Kara's with us almost every week, and these are these babies here on the left. Here, this bigger picture. These are Kara's adorable twins. So a lot of parents ask if their twins should share a crib. Kara's got the right idea here. Her twins are playing together in the crib. They've got a nice, safe crib environment. No bumpers, just a mattress and a tight-fitting crib sheet and a little blankie. Kara's twins are a little older. So playtime is great in the crib. Sleep time, we recommend that babies are in their own sleep surface for, oh, there we go, for overnight, because as you can see, as when babies get mobile, they're all over each other. These twins up here in the corner are, rolling all over. The twins asleep down here. Now this is an example, although they look perfectly cozy and content, there's a lot of stuff in the crib here, big stuffy teddy bears and bumpers and stuff tied to the bars and big blankets. This is not what we recommend, is not what the American Association of Pediatricians recommends for the safer sleep environment. So playtime, good. Sleep time, when babies are older and mobile, have them in their own sleeping space. Here again, Kara's twins, I just love this picture. In the double Woombies, I love the Woombie. It's one of my most favorite products ever, this little zip-up body sock. So you can see when Kara's twins are little, they're not moving yet. She's got that, this looks like maybe day sleep, nap sleep, which is observed during the day. To be on a surface before twins are mobile, that's going to be fine. But here now you can see once they're getting to the point where they're moving around, Kara has her twins in separate cribs, but still very close to each other. Thanks for sharing these photos, Kara. Okay, so now sharing, twins, that's most parents keep their twins in the same room right off the bat. You certainly don't have to, but sometimes it's a little more tricky when you're thinking about when to combine siblings. So if you have a baby or an older child, if you're moving, if you're, have a small apartment or condo, I usually suggest to parents that they sort of give the self-test. Would you want to be sharing your room with your baby right now? Is your baby disrupting you? Then don't go put baby in with her older brother. Get the baby sleeping to a point. Now, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but get whichever child you're trying to move in with the other. Try to get into a point with the child's sleep where it's predictable, where you feel like if the child still does need to wake up in the night, maybe it's a 5-month-old or a 7-month-old, maybe the baby's still having a feeding, that you feel like you're in a pretty predictable place, you can intervene quickly, go right in, feed the baby and put the baby back down. Or at that point, if you're going to be having another sleeping arrangement for a partial night, that would be fine too. But if you're, I have had parents who are, saying the child who's sharing the room with them is waking them up a lot, and so they want to put them in with the sibling. And so I usually say, well, wait until, you get things sorted out and then move the children in together. Generally, the first 4 months, 4 to 6 months anyway, it will be hard to combine siblings because, especially in the first 4 months, babies are much more unpredictable, waking more frequently. And so it would be more challenging to have babies in an older child's room. As you move past the 4 month, especially past the 6 month mark, and the night's sleep becomes more organized and consolidated, and the feedings really settle in, then it would be easier to combine the siblings. Think about the biology of the type of sleep. The first third of the night for babies really older than 3 months, and for older toddlers too, the first third of the night is the deepest sleep cycles when your child is the least likely to be awakened by noise. So it's always going to be easier for you to get the children down in the first part of the night. For example, if the baby goes to bed first and then you're bringing your toddler in an hour later, baby's already down in those nice deep sleep cycles. There's a pretty slim chance of you waking the baby at that point. Vice versa, if your toddler is already down and you sneak in with the baby, even if the baby makes a few peeps, it's unlikely at that time of night that the toddler will be awakened. So you don't need to stress out about that part so much. The morning sleep is always more challenging. We're going to talk about that a little more too. Morning is harder because the type of sleep is different, and children are more likely to be awakened by noise. And when they are awakened by noise in the morning, their sleep pressure, their sleep drive is much lower, and so it's more difficult for them to go back to sleep. Yes. Uh-huh. Oh.
Meg, I was just answering a question in the chat from one of the moms who asked how long a white noise machine can be used. And I think you were just explaining that, as I said, I think white noise is a very healthy sleep tool, and that it's not something that you need to worry about being time limited, like swaddling, for example, and that the second half of the night's sleep is when the child or the adult is going to be more prone to waking from environmental noises. So that's where the white noise really comes in handy.
That's
And
right.
that's why we recommend
Yeah, that's right.
continuous white noise,
It's
not
family
intermittent
dependent. If
like a
you can
sleep sheet
have a
that's going to
nice
shut
quiet
off after
environment, you don't
30
have
minutes.
traffic
You
or
want white
sirens
noise that's
going
going to be
by,
on.
you may not need white noise. But if your siblings or twins are sharing a room, and one's noisier than another, until they're the age of a little more rationality, you may find the white noise machine to be very helpful. Okay, so then I thought it would be helpful if I just go through some frequently asked questions for all of you, the things that I hear often in an individual sleep consult about room sharing and siblings and sleep. And of course, like everything, I could spend the whole time talking about one factor. So I'm just going to try to give you some little tidbits that can be helpful for you. These are my these are my three older ones, and our on Monday and Tuesday, my oldest daughter Ella, who's 6, reads the bedtime stories. The other two listen, and at this point, I'm generally sitting on the bed nursing the baby. Although I just had to whip out my phone and snap a picture because this was particularly cute on this evening, I thought. So now, what if my children have different evening bedtimes? This is really common, and in my house too, we have about a 45-minute window where everyone's going down at different times. So um, usually what you might find helpful, especially if you're on your own, is you don't have to try to do everybody's own, like, bath and pajamas and toothbrushing. Kind of do that all together. Everyone gets a bath, everyone gets PJs, everyone gets their teeth. Maybe even everyone, like in my family, everyone reads together, and that's sort of like your evening flow. And then your actual bedtime routines are much more mini. Like when each child gets their tuck in, it would be more condensed. Like for us, we do a prayer and a song and kiss goodnight. Some people, maybe that's the time when you would do a short story, but you're not going to have the same time to devote one-on-one if you have 2 or 3 or 4 children individually. And you may feel, especially if you were used to having one and now you have two, and you're going to feel bad about that. You're going to feel like you're more inadequate, but that's not the case at all. And your new baby doesn't know any different. And this will be perfectly normal for your child. And you can see how wonderful it becomes as they all, start to share in this together. So um, as far as where your bedtime routine should take place, again, not so critical. If you're used to having a single baby, you probably did it in the same room every night for, until the next one came along. If your siblings are sharing a room and one's going to bed first, you may not be able to do both bedtime routines in that bedroom, and that's okay. It's helpful if the bedtime routine is taking place in a predictable spot. So if it's not the bedroom, maybe it's a playroom with the lights down low, or maybe it's mom and dad's room or bed, guest room. Try to have it be in a regular spot, some quiet activity, low lighting, and then you can still walk the child into their room. This would be if you're having staggered bedtimes. Different wake ups in the morning. So this I just want to spend a few minutes on because we had a lot of questions come in about this. So a little bit of this depends on the age of the child. What you might find helpful is it might be a matter of adjusting a schedule. For example, if your baby's going to bed at 6:30 because, let's face it, it's so hectic in the evening and you're like, you know what, let me get the baby down and then I can focus on everyone else. That's fine, but then you will have a baby who might be waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning. And that would be a nice long night of sleep, but it's early. And if your toddler or older child isn't waking up until 7 or 7:30, but 6 o'clock is right in that light sleep state, it can be disruptive. So if it's really a problem and blackout shades and a white noise machine and a super fast response by you in the middle of, in the early morning is not working for you, then you may need to shift the baby's schedule to the right later so that baby and toddler's wake up time match. Or it may be a matter of shifting the toddler's schedule earlier. So it could be a scheduling issue. If your child is if it's more of a sleep problem issue, like one child is just waking up too early, they're not having enough sleep in the night and it's a too early wake up, then the strategy would be the same as any other child who's having a too early wake up, which would be, keeping the child in the darkness until the desired wake up time, and having some sort of response during that time. But the question, of course, is, well, what happens to the other child in the room? And for this, let me see. I have another slide about this too, but you can sometimes it's helpful for one child to have a free pass for a few nights while you're working on a change with a sibling. So for example, maybe baby moves into the pack and play into parents' room for several mornings while you're working on sleep with your toddler. Or maybe your toddler gets to camp out on your floor for a few days while you're working on sleep with the baby. So one child gets moved. Generally, the child that is the more consistent sleeper would be the one that would be moved. You can also do this with both children together. If you're having a problem with late sleeping in the morning, then when I tell parents sometimes, especially if you have twins, just embrace the fact that one will wake up the other. And it's okay because they're going to learn to sleep through each other. But when one wakes the other, now you're going to be, again, are you man to man or are you zone? Now you're going to be doing problem solving or your intervention with both children at that time of the morning. And again, as you progress on your sleep plan, you'll expect both babies to progress along with it. Sometimes if it's a toddler who's waking up a baby, you might have to teach your toddler, do some practice sessions during the daytime, how to sneak out quietly, where the child should go. Some children just sit in their bed and call, so you may have to teach them how to come out in the morning. If your door is really squeaky and your toddler is opening the door and waking the baby, you might have to leave the door open. These are just, scenarios that families have dealt with over the years. So in terms of when you are working on solving a problem for your twins or siblings, You may find it helpful during the day to separate twins or siblings if you're trying to fix some nap time problems. And the reason is that you're time limited whenever you're doing a nap intervention. It's time limited, and the type of sleep is different. It's more difficult. And so it often is helpful if, when you're trying to fix a problem during the day, if you do separate the children. Now, this may be temporary, and once the problem's solved, the children go back together. I know many, many twin families whose twins always nap in different rooms because they find it works better for them. At nighttime, if you'd like your children to share a room, I actually prefer, if it's a bedtime issue, I actually prefer to see the babies stay together or the siblings stay together at bedtime, because you have sleep pressure, your sleepiness working to your favor, and your children will go to sleep. And your night is still very salvageable at bedtime. So if it's a bedtime problem, I prefer to see you keep them together. And like I said, embrace the fact that one will wake the other, but with time and consistency, it will get better. And if it's just a single child, again, if it's just one child who's having trouble, then the other child may get a free pass, particularly if this is an older toddler or school-age child, gets a free pass out for a few nights. If one twin is, sort of a better sleeper, a longer sleeper, I shouldn't really say better, because babies have different sleep needs. One twin may want to sleep a 12-hour night, and one may want to sleep an 11-hour night. Both of those night sleeps are perfectly normal and healthy amounts of sleep. But basically, if you'd like your twins or even your siblings to be on the same schedule, if you start to deviate more than 30 minutes from each other, from each individual schedule, then you're going to lose your consistency between the two babies. So for most parents, find that they really do need their twins or their siblings on at least a similar timing. And so in that case, you're going to want to be in a position to perhaps wake one baby if that baby is sleeping more than 20 to 30 minutes past the other baby's wake up time. If you want siblings on the same napping schedule, again, this often comes down, this is all about planning and, thinking, what time is my pickup? What time is my drop off? What time do I need the baby up so the baby can be tired again in the afternoon to nap with my 2-year-old? Can you tell this is my life? And so, again, you may be in a position of having to wake a baby from, say, for example, a morning nap. So the baby's ready to go down in the afternoon at the same time with older sibling for the afternoon nap. That's okay. That's not a horrible thing to do. If both of your children are getting enough sleep overall and they're seeming well rested, and you're keeping them on the same schedule and their bedtime is regular, it's perfectly fine situation, to wake your child if you need to. And so in terms of temperaments, when you're trying to solve a problem, as you know, there are lots of different strategies for how to do this. Some of these we've recorded, like trading down sleep associations and scheduled check-ins for toddlers. And I do encourage parents to think about twins, even siblings. They have different temperaments and how they might respond to an intervention. If you're leaning towards something that's really slow and soothy, but your baby's finding it really frustrating, or it's just taking so long that it's becoming, it seems like it's becoming really frustrating for the sibling whose room baby is sharing, then, doing something that's a faster approach may be a better fit in your particular situation. I always encourage parents to think about not just parenting style is very important. It's not just that, though. It's the baby too, the baby's temperament, and also the other child in the room. Okay, and then if one twin or sibling wakes the other during a sleep intervention, when you're solving things, just remind yourself, if you're at bedtime or if you're in the first third to first half of the night, Your night is very salvageable. Just go for it. Keep going. And if you are now, tackling a wake up with 2 babies, it's okay. It will get better. If you're in the last third of the night, then it's always more difficult for baby to get back to sleep in the last third of the night. If it's twins and you're working with both, then they stay in the same room and you keep going. If it's just one child who you're working with, then, like I said before, the other child may get to move out temporarily. Okay, for your bedtime routines, here are my girls again, brushing their teeth, which we do every night, baby included. How to design your bedtime routine for multiple children at the same time. And this sort of goes hand in hand with if my twins are revving each other up. And I like to use the example of my twin nieces who really get each other going, and especially at bedtime. And I've had lots of moms talk to me about this too, especially with toddlers, boys who are wrestling and playing. They want to keep them together, but they're just getting so wound up. Again, any one of these topics is a whole sleep consult, especially because it's so age dependent. But basically, allow some of that. Twins and siblings, it's really important. It's part of how they bond. And so allow some of that. And maybe like with my twin nieces, their whole thing was tickle kisses. So I suggested to my sister-in-law, okay, have tickle kiss time. Like, maybe you want to go back and take a look at the bedtime routine webinar that we have recorded. You have to move on. It can't be indefinite. You really have to kind of drive the bus and keep going with, okay, what comes next? And what are what are we doing? Sometimes containment is really essential. Those of you who have twins know this too. You need to have a safe place to put one baby while you're getting the other one out of the tub. Or so if you have an extra pack and play, or if you have an extra exerciser, or even if you have an extra, a gate goes across the door temporarily and your toddler plays in the room and has quiet time while you're doing something with the baby. Or maybe your 2-year-old goes into her crib, not for sleep. 2-year-olds, they're your 2-year-old, even your babies are very good at compartmentalizing and learning, okay, I'm in my crib for play, or I'm in my crib for sleep. There's nothing wrong with putting your child into the crib for some playtime with some books and stories and lights on, maybe some music, and she has a little chill out time while you're doing something with older children. So plan ahead, have safe places to compartmentalize or contain your children while you're doing something with the others. But the overall flow of your bedtime routine is moving in a very predictable direction each night, and ending with each one going into their bed. And finally, just again, remember they are individuals. They're not all, all of your children are not going to sleep exactly the same way for exactly the same duration. They won't respond exactly to the same strategies. And especially for twins, or even siblings, I should say, if they're toddlers and you're going to implement some sort of reward system, we always recommend random rewards. Don't be afraid, please don't be afraid to reward one sibling or twin for improvement and not the other if the other has not had the improvement, because just like with anything else in life, you're going to lose. That's going to lose its effectiveness if it's handed out, when there really is no improvement. So it's all, for toddlers especially, they're looking to you to sort of set the boundary and the limits, and then to follow through with that. Okay, a lot of individual, their baby, their toddlers, there's bedtime routine. There's a lot of stuff when it comes to twins and siblings, and I'm always happy to talk to anyone individually with a sleep consultation if you felt like you needed more personalized help with this. I really love this topic. Great. No, no, I said great.
Yeah, we had quite a few moms of two in the participation zone today, which is awesome. All right, let's take one question. Oh, go ahead, Meg. Did you have something? Okay, so let's see. We had I was able to answer or address the two questions that came in. One was the white
Mm.
noise, and then there's a mom who has a 19-month-old who's a headbanger, and she moved the baby out of the crib and into a toddler
Actually,
bag,
that's one of
which
the
I
nice things about the
I
trading
said
down
in the
sleep
chat that I know that
associations
you
is that
usually
because it's
really
slow and
encourage remaining in the
gentle,
crib for
um, a
at
lot of
least
it you
until two
actually
and a
still
half, if
can
not
continue
three.
to work on even
But they've been
through,
doing okay in the
if you're
toddler
talking
bed.
minor
The headbanging
sickness,
helped, but now the baby got the
sniffles,
toddler got
runny
sick and has been
noses,
cutting forth teeth
teething.
and in pain. So
Teething
trading
generally, now
down has
some
switched
teeth
to
are harder
trading
to
up,
teeth than others, but we
and
don't
all of the
generally find
effort or
teething
all
to
the
be a
effort.
serious sleep disruptor. If you're, using a little bit of medication for teething pain, you still probably can continue to go, to continue your trades down. But if you feel like your child really is, really just needs a break and really is sick and just sort of she needs what she needs for right now, then yeah, you wait until the sickness is gone. Before you intervene again. And it depends on how far you've sort of regressed and for how long. If it's just a couple of days, like 2 or 3 days, and your child's better and you get right back on track, I would expect you to, almost pick up where you left off, maybe a day or two lag. But if it was, like a week or two, then it would probably very much feel like you're starting over. The head banging, in almost all cases, that is, albeit sort of stressful for parents. Basically, what it amounts to is a soothing technique, and I would always want to look very closely at the child's schedule and make sure that the schedule was right for the baby. Baby wasn't too long in the crib. Sometimes we see these types of, you know, more I don't know the right word, uh, stressful, I guess, for parents, type of soothing for a baby who may be too long in the crib or who the timing's not quite right. Um, but if it's not a scheduling issue, um, then, like Nancy said, I wouldn't use the toddler bed as a solution to that. If you're sort of at the point of no return, that's fine. At 19 months, though, you will almost certainly have to be open to doing nighttime parenting, to keep your child safe and on her mattress for a full night's sleep. Generally, the child isn't able to achieve that skill until at least 2.5. Yes, I believe that we are going to be talking about nap pop-ups next week. So babies who are, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I'm gonna show
Okay,
some cards
we're going to
next
wrap
week.
up today. Would you like to
This should
introduce the
be a really
topic for
helpful
next
one.
week, or are we still in discussion on that? Oh, that's such a good one. That's going to be huge. Okay, so that's the too short nap. The baby that will go down and sleep for somewhere between 20 to 45 minutes, and then how do you help them fall back asleep, and how long do you spend doing it, and why do they pop up, and how might you help prevent the frequent pop-ups? Uh, oh boy. Okay, well, thank you everybody for participating, and please do add us to your calendar so that you remember to come back next Tuesday for the sleep webinar. And then, of course, every Thursday at 12 noon, we do the same darn thing all over again, and we focus on breastfeeding and pumping. So that is on Thursday at 12
Everyone.
noon. And this week, I'm going to be talking about breastfeeding when you are sick. So moms that have the colds, the flu, the stomach bug, and mastitis, and what medications you can take and things that you should avoid, how to stay hydrated when you're unwell, and concerns about your milk production. So that will be on Thursday. Meg, thank you so much for sharing your expertise. Please do join our newsletter so you get information from us